The St. Louis River is a river in the U.S. states of Minnesota and Wisconsin that flows into Lake Superior, the largest U.S. river to flow into the lake. It is 192 miles in length and starts 13 miles east of Hoyt Lakes, Minnesota. The river's watershed covers 3,634 square miles. Near the twin ports of Duluth, Minnesota and Superior, Wisconsin, the river becomes a freshwater estuary. According to Warren Upham, the Ojibwe name of the river is Gishigami-Zeeb. He notes, the river was probably surnamed by Pierre Gautier de Varennes, Sieur de la Vérendrye, who was a very active explorer, in the years 1731 and onward, of the vast country from Pigeon River and Rainy Lake to the Saskatchewan and Missouri rivers, establishing trading posts and missions. The King of France in 1749, shortly before the death of La Vérendrye, conferred on him the Cross of St. Louis as a recognition of the importance of his discoveries, and thence the name of the St. Louis River appears to have come. On Jean-Baptiste Louis Franklin's map and Philippe Bouch's map, it is called the Rivière du Fond du Lac, and the map by Giles Robert de Vorgandy and Jonathan Carver's map are the earliest to give the present name. The river was a vital link connecting the Mississippi River waterways to the west with the Great Lakes to the east. Jay Cooke State Park is located near the mouth of the river and is the site of a canoe portage used by Native Americans, European explorers, fur traders, voyagers, coureurs des bois, and missionaries of the 18th and 19th centuries. It was a rough trail of steep hills and swamps that began at the foot of the rapids above the neighborhood of Fond du Lac and climbed some 450 feet, to the present-day city of Carlton. Above Carlton, travelers proceeded upstream and continued on to Lake Vermilion and the Rainy River, or they may have traveled southwest up the East Savannah River, portaged the grueling 6-mile-long Savannah Portage, and then paddled on to the Mississippi River. By the mid-20th century, the lower St. Louis River became one of the most heavily polluted waterways in the state. Holling Clancy Holling, in his 1941 book Paddle to the Sea, illustrated the polluted state of the St. Louis River. By 1975, the river became an Environmental Protection Agency area of concern. The Western Lake Superior Sanitary District was established in 1971 to address serious pollution problems in the lower St. Louis River basin. WLSSD's regional wastewater treatment plant began operating in 1978. Within 2 years, fish populations rebounded and anglers began returning to the river. Through the 1980s and 1990s, additional cleanups took place, but the river remains polluted. In 2013, the state of Minnesota abruptly pulled out of a project intended to research the mercury problem in the river. The cooperating agencies, including Wisconsin DNR and the Fond du Lac tribe, were not in agreement with the ending of the study. The level of mercury is so high that strong limitations on consumption of the fish are in effect by the Minnesota Department of Health, which, for example, limit consumption of walleye for a 50-pound child to 1/6 of a pound per month and no more than 1 pound every 6 months. https://www.fish.state.pa.us images fisheries FCS PCB_fishtech PDF http www.hell.state Minnesota divs a fish eating Denpo privas PDF. The river is fished for walleye, northern pike, smallmouth bass, largemouth bass, bluegill, black crappie, and channel catfish populations. Other species of rough fish include shorthead red horse and white sucker. Attempts to introduce sturgeon are underway. Sturgeon, if caught, are to be returned. The river is frequented by those traveling the Minnesota DNR St. Louis River Water Trail, which has campsites and angling. The St. Louis River Trail Association is planning construction of a long-distance hiking trail along more than half the length of the river. Construction of the first 36-mile segment began in early 2012. With cooperation from the Minnesota DNR, the Trail Association hopes to have this section completed in 2015. St. Louis River AOC. The St. Louis River was listed in 1987 as an area of concern by the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement 1987 Amendment. 9 of 14 beneficial use impairments were identified in the St. Louis River AOC. The AOC designation has led to the remedial action plan process outlined in the Great Lakes Water Quality Agreement. The most recent update is the 2013 RAP update, a roadmap to delisting, and can be found on the Wyoming Department of Natural Resources and Minnesota Pollution Control Agency web pages listed below. This document outlines the BUI removal strategies and list of actions to delist the St. Louis River as an AOC by 2025. Rationale for listing. Fish samples taken from the St. Louis River and Lake Superior exceed standards established by Minnesota and Wisconsin for the unrestricted consumption of sport fish. Each of the two states issues consumption advisories for various population groups, based on fish species and size classes. Advisories are collectively issued for the presence of mercury and polychlorinated biphenyls. Fish tissue residues of mercury and polychlorinated biphenyls also exceed the 0.5 mg per kilogram and 0.1 mg per kilogram standards established in the 1978 GLWQA for the protection of aquatic life and fish-consuming birds.